Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and welcome to the 2024 Chevrolet Trax. This is the glow-up of the decade because the last version of the Chevy Trax was not much of a looker. In fact, it was kind of a clownish car. I'm not trying to be rude if you own one, but my goodness, this looks like a proper automobile now. And one of the biggest issues I have as a car enthusiast is recommending ordinary non-enthusiast cars to people who are not enthusiasts, because to my friends who love sports cars, it's easy. I can recommend Miatas or Porsches or Ferraris or any of these amazing vehicles that I drive on the channel, depending on people's budgets. Folks who are willing to spend $50, $60, $150,000 on a car because it's their passion. But what about the people who just need transportation, who just need an economical, safe, and not embarrassing vehicle? My goodness, there's a lot going on over there. And that's where this comes in, because the Chevy Trax starts under $21,000. In this spec with the sunroof and a couple other options, it's under $26,000. That's insanity. That is so cheap today. Unfortunately, we don't have like $12,000, $13,000 cars like we used to, but for under 30 grand, you get a heated steering wheel, heated seats, and a lovely place to be that isn't embarrassing. So, what is it? It's 137 horsepower, 3-cylinder turbo. It's front-wheel drive, and it has a 6-speed automatic. That 6-speed automatic is important because in a world of crossovers and small SUVs, CVTs rule the roost. And a 6-speed auto is a refreshing addition to this lineup, because to spend a little more money on something like a Honda HR-V, which has a phenomenal chassis, my goodness, that CVT is a disappointment. I'm not trying to be too rude about it, but I don't like them. So to get in something like this and have an automatic 6-speed is really nice. Now, before we get into the creature comforts, let's take a look under the hood. Oh, that's a heavy hood, but the car only weighs about 3,000 pounds. And there's our adorable 1200cc 3-cylinder. What a thing. I think they should be labeling it as a 1200cc versus a 1.2 liter for marketing reasons. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, let's close this up and take a look around. Gluing us to the road is a 245 section Continental Pro Contact on a 19-inch wheel all around, easily rotatable. And because this is the highest trim, the 2RS, we get these fancy alloys. If you go for the lower trim levels, you'll just get some hubcaps on steelies. That's all right too. And then let's take a look in the cargo space. This is pretty great because to have this massive hatch in a small SUV is really nice. You've got a 60-40 split on the rear seats, and under here, oh yes, a spare tire, an actual spare tire. Now it's a donut, nothing fancy, but this seems so rare these days. Everything just comes with those silly tire inflation kits, and that doesn't usually work because a lot of times when I messed up a tire, I messed them up real good, and an inflator kit isn't gonna cut it. In the back, we've got lovely red stitch trim on some leather seats, and check out the space down on the floor. Because this is a front-wheel drive only car, there's no rear drive line happening. This is a flat floor. There's tons of legroom back here, lots of space. You've got USB and USB-C chargers, and unfortunately, no armrest. That's a little bit of a bummer, but like a lot of things in this car that I don't like, once you remember that price, you get over it real quick. Up front, really nice, clean, and fairly premium looking dashboard. You've got your LCD screen for your dashboard, and you've got your LCD infotainment system with your beautiful heated flat bottom steering wheel. So let's jump in and take this thing for a drive. Up front, I do think that this is a fairly premium feeling cockpit. You've got a tilting and telescoping wheel. And let's get it started up. We've got our push to start here. And she jumps to life. Apple CarPlay getting itself situated, and this is the kind of stuff that someone looking for a car in the segment is looking for. They're not looking for all kinds of crazy bells and whistles. They don't need a flat 6 with 500 horsepower. They just need decent creature comforts, a heated steering wheel, heated seats, Apple CarPlay. Like, this is it. This is all you need to do. Because people just want to get in their car, listen to Spotify, and drive. I've even got wireless charging down there. So, these cup holders, they fit my Yeti. You can throw another phone in here if you'd like. You have a normal shift lever. And just like the Chevy Colorado, I think the throw is too far. I always feel a little goofy putting it in a gear. That's a long distance for drive, but that's okay. Maybe there's some weird safety thing. Maybe they're like, hey, a longer throw prevents people from doing stupid things. I don't know. And now that I've got my heated steering wheel engaged, let's go for a drive. I just got back from a 380-mile trip to Maine in this vehicle because I think when you drive these types of cars, you really do need to spend some time with them to figure them out and find out what they're all about. So obviously, she's not quick. She's not getting off the line in a big cloud of tire smoke, but it does get off the line okay. This is something that was very frustrating for me in some CVT cars, Honda HR-V included. They don't get off the line quick enough, and with a 6-speed automatic, wow, I don't know what's going on here. People are just bonkers today. With the 6-speed automatic, it behaves normally. It's more predictable. Now, this transmission, it's not perfect. It's pretty slow to upshift. It takes a second for it to figure out where it wants to be in the downshift. So for example, we're just cruising along 30 miles an hour. I'm gonna go wide open throttle right now. Now I can do that as much as I want around here because despite the being in like a 35 mile an hour zone, we will not be speeding. But you can see it takes a second for it to kind of catch up and figure out what it needs. This is all stuff that I would complain about if this was a $40,000 car, but it's not. I can't complain. This is fine. What you'll also notice on this dashboard is a 2-second marker here, and it's telling me now it's 1.9. How close I am to the car in front of me. I'm 1.7 seconds to the car in front of me. So if they were to suddenly stop, that's how much time I've got to get on the brakes. Now, let's get over the speed bump. The suspension is kinda nice. It's supple, it's soft, it's got a bit of body roll in it, but that's okay because that's what you want in something like this because it's not gonna have an adaptive suspension and you need to strike the difference between being something that can handle a corner and something that's going to be comfortable over some bumps. And this is comfortable over some bumps. The 3-cylinder's a little grunty, and it's funny, my friend Kevin Williams, who's a freelance writer for a whole bunch of publications, really focuses on lots of EVs and stuff, but he called it thrummy, and I really liked his description of this engine. So Kevin Williams, responsible for the thrummy adjective of this 3-cylinder. I think that's dead on, but it is unique. It does sound very unique, and it's not a terrible sound. The only times I get a little worried is there's been a couple times where I'm like, did I just throw a rod? Like, it almost sounds like it's knocking. It's not. It's fine, but like, it is a unique sound that I am not yet adapted to. But more important than that, this interior is pretty darn quiet. It's well insulated. I don't get a whole lot of road noise. And like I said, I just spent like 380 miles on the highway in this car, and I enjoyed it. Some downfalls. The steering is a little numb. It's an electric power assist, of course, and you don't feel a whole lot in the way of that steering, which means that when I first got into the car, I felt a little uneasy about where I was pointing because I couldn't necessarily feel it. But over time, I've completely adapted to that. And that's why I think spending time with a car like this is so critical, because at a glance, I think I would have really panned the steering in this car. But now that I've driven it for a while, I'm really used to it and I don't mind it. I felt like it was a little darty at first. Now I feel like I understand it, and I just had to adapt to it. Now that's not great for an enthusiast car, but it's not an enthusiast car, and we're not going to get into an accident here on this main road with all of this calamity. But we can go wide open throttle and get back up to speed. So how efficient is it? You're sacrificing what would normally be like a 2-liter 4-cylinder for a 1.2-liter 3-cylinder. Very European, I might add. I got about 33 miles per gallon, just shy of 33 miles per gallon on my road trip. Now, because I'm out here flooring it for you guys so you can hear what it sounds like, we've lost a little bit. Now we're at 32. Now that's not the most impressive thing in the world, considering that it's only about 3,000 pounds according to the curb weight on the sheet. Honda's Civic, for example, will do or closer to 40 miles per gallon. The SI I was getting about 40 to 41 miles per gallon out of. And that was a 1.5 liter turbo and about the same weight. So this definitely must have a bit more coefficient of drag in order to only achieve that. But still not bad, because that's 32, 33 miles per gallon without trying that hard. That's 75 miles per hour on the highway to 77 miles an hour. That's not me chugging along at 67 trying to like hyper mile the thing. This heated steering wheel is actually quite hot right now. I'm going to kill that. Got a beautiful set of railroad tracks just waiting for us to jump in. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. But it is comfortable over bumps. This is not some tinny, cheapo econo car that just exists for the sake of filling a price range for folks who need some form of transportation. Like, this is a car that you'd actually be okay and proud to own and drive. That's a tough thing to do. That's such a tough thing to do in this day and age at the price range, because I feel like the cars that come in at around 20 grand are just a joke. Like, you don't want to be seen in them. All it says is I couldn't afford blank. And this is what I like about the Trax, is it gives you the opportunity to be frugal, to spend as much money as you can afford without looking like you just went to the clearance section of the auto dealer. And because you don't have a ton of power, you do need to kind of gauge yourself and make sure that you're not sending this car where it can't go. Let's give these brakes a little test. Not bad. ABS active. Yes, it was. I think it behaves predictably. It feels like a safe, happy car. I don't get nervous being on the highway in this car. Like I said, when you're driving like a little tinny econo car, sometimes it does feel like you're out to sea and all these big ships are around you and you're in your econo $20,000 box. But the Chevy Trax fits in the real world. Let's get this thing out on the highway and see how she handles. Don't need brakes, but it feels natural to settle the nose. Oh man, I gotta get back in the swing of like driving slower cars. It's like you see a corner, you just instinctively want to like dip the nose in to get some traction over the front wheels, but like I don't need to do that in this car because we're not carrying enough speed for it to matter. However, this is wonderful. I've got adaptive cruise control. I turned it off because it always drives me nuts in every car. That's a me thing, not a car thing. So you're good on that front. Great cruise control. We'll set it to 74 miles an hour. We're under 2,500 RPM. This is a happy car on the highway. A little bit of road noise from these tires, but overall, not an intrusive sound coming through this cabin. I've got a comfortable place to be. It also has a great sound system. It's not bad. I was perfectly content. It's better than my Civic Type R sound system. Not quite the ELS 3D Studio that you'd find in an Acura Integra A-Spec, but good nonetheless. Because we're in a small SUV, I don't feel like I'm in a clown car. I'm appropriately sized for the road. That's pretty important when you're in this segment because it's really easy to get yourself stuck in something that's kind of uncomfortable, or you do just feel like you're swimming in a sea of giant cruise ships, and cars have gotten large. This is an appropriate size. It just has a compact powertrain. Now, some sacrifices you do need to make for this kind of value. The plastics are hard. This is really hard. I genuinely wish they put some soft stuff for your elbows on here because on a long trip, it is a little painful. It's a hard, sharp place to be. Little touches like that go an incredibly long way to make a car more livable and feel more premium, because I don't care. This can be cheap and sharp. This can be cheap and sharp. That doesn't matter to me. But if I'm interacting with it, if I have to touch it all the time, I just want this little pad to be soft. I just want this little pad to be soft. That's it. And that's something that like Hyundai does incredibly well. They give you insanely soft leather steering wheels. They make the shifter leather. They make any touch surfaces that you interact with regularly pretty darn soft and premium feeling. That sells cars in the dealership before you even drive it. You've sold the car. I wish they would do that on this because there's so much going for it. And I do think that some people are just going to put their elbows down on this and go, ugh, I don't know. There's a lot of great cars out there right now, but a lot of great cars cost a lot of money. It's tough to find a car for under 30 grand, let alone under $25,000. And the Chevy Trax gives customers, gives non-enthusiasts, gives first-time buyers, gives people limited on funds the ability to buy a good, safe, practical car that they can be proud to drive. So for that, we thank you, Chevrolet, because I'm kind of psyched on this in a way that I genuinely did not expect to be. I thought I wasn't going to like it. I thought I was going to have to dig for reasons why this exists, but I'm not. I'm glad that there's another car in the mix that I can recommend people to look at when they're not looking to spend big money, or they just, aren't drivers. They're not carving canyons. I'm not saying it doesn't handle well. I'm just saying it's like not what you would buy if you were doing that on the weekends. And some people just need good transportation that they can put 4 or 5 people in for a road trip. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. And I'll see you in the next one. For the money, I don't want to drive a Kia Soul advertised by hamsters. The hamsters were cute, but that's just not my personality. And I think a lot of people want to drive something respectable, but don't want to spend a lot of money. The Chevy Trax allows people to do that.